I open my eyes and thrust my arm out. My blood drips onto the carpet between the two bowls. Then, with a gasp I can't contain, I shift my hand forward, and my blood sizzles on the coals. I am selfish. I am brave.
Okay, this is one that... Wait, had you read this before?
No.
Okay, this is one that I was obsessed with when it came out.
Yeah.
Divergent.
Yeah.
It came out during that time where you had The Hunger Games, Divergent, and The Maze Runner. It was like very post-apocalyptic.
Maze Runner.
I love Maze Runner. That's another one we have to do. Post-apocalyptic book to movie adaptations.
Yeah.
And this adaptation... So Divergent's written by Veronica Roth.
Yeah. But wait, what are we drinking today?
Well, I'll get to it.
Oh.
So, this adaptation was not awful. It was not bad.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
You had only watched the movie and loved the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So before we even start, did you like the movie and book more once you read it? Or were you like, oh, there's so much more to this story now that I read the book?
I was incredibly shocked by the book.
Now that makes sense because when I had first suggested this, you're like, oh, yeah, we can do that. I liked that movie.
Yeah, but I wasn't super excited about reading it because I was like, I saw the movie and I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I don't have any desire to like dive deeper into it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
I feel very differently now.
Okay. So now that we've decided that, I've gotten the truth out of Dayelle, and we're drinking the truth serum. This is
perfection.
You're gonna do silver tequila, a little pear liqueur.
Ooh, I love pear.
Me too. With some ginger, which I know you love, ginger liqueur or fresh ginger syrup, a little lime juice, and I know that sounds weird, but a saline solution or a big old pinch of sea salt, and you just shake it, strain it into a glass, and then you could put like candied pear on top.
Yum.
But it's very smooth.
Yeah.
It's completely clear.
I like it. Would you do like a giant ice cube in the middle?
You totally could. Or you could just shake and strain into like a coupe glass if you want to be fancy.
Okay.
But it will get you. That's that's a lot of liquor.
Yeah, I like it.
And so it'll get you. And it'll have you spilling the truth because tequila does that.
Cheers.
Cheers. This is... I will say I tore through the whole series. So we were just supposed to read the first one. Mm-hmm. And I was like, crap, I forgot how much I love this book. So I read Divergent, then I read Insurgent. And I went through the whole series in a week.
It's funny that you say that because I was the polar opposite of you. And I just dragged my feet and I was like, I'll get to it. It's going to be a quick read. I'll take my time. And then it was like 2 nights before we were going to record. And I was like, oh, I haven't even opened the book. And you're like, I just finished the last book in the series. And I'm like, maybe I should open the book.
Here's the thing. I was very excited because when I was reading this, when it first came out, I think it was 2011. Let me pull my notes.
2011.
I was not listening to audiobooks. It wasn't cool.
Yeah.
So I listened to these all the audiobooks. So it was like a different experience for me, and I really enjoyed it.
Fair.
It was really good.
I think this is one of those books that I think you get a lot more out of it if you do the audiobook because it's so good.
It's really good.
It's so good. So I mean, like, obviously we'll just jump right off the bat and say that I really went into this thinking like I would enjoy it, but like I wasn't going to get that much out of it because I enjoyed the movie and like the movie told me the whole story. So like, why do I need to, read it? Which is weird for me because normally I'm very much like, oh no, I want all the details. Like give me the book so I can get all those other details that you don't know about. But for this one, I was blown away by how much more was in the book. And I really think that I feel like this is a little bit like with Harry Potter where they like cut a lot of things out, but just because they just didn't have the time to put them in.
Sure.
I felt that way about this book. Like there is so much more depth to all of the characters.
Every character.
There are more characters. There are more there are moments in the in the movie that are just glossed over that in the book. They are massive.
The whole thing with Al.
Oh my gosh.
Al is in love with Tris.
Yeah.
And they have these really this beautiful friendship. Just that core group of friends Tris has with Christina and Will and Al. And like they just have this really, really good group of friends, which I will say this. This is Veronica Roth's debut novel. She wrote it while she was at Northwestern.
Yeah.
She
was 21.
Yeah. And also, have you seen pictures of her? Gorgeous.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Oh my God.
I think she's on the... Oh, no, maybe not.
She's beautiful.
She was on the cover.
But yeah, she wrote it while she was on winter break from Northwestern University. That's bananas.
That's crazy to me. And I, like, the book is really well written.
Also, it explores something that, so we've got all these post-apocalyptic movies and books coming out all at the same time, right? This explores something that, so you've got Hunger Games has the districts that everybody's put into, right?
Yep.
And this is kind of that same world where you don't find out in this book and in this movie a lot about what's happening on the outside of this universe. It's set in Chicago.
Yeah.
And essentially post-apocalyptic, like Tris, you're in one of 4 factions. There's Candor, Erudite, Abnegation, and Dauntless.
And Amity?
Abnegation.
Amity.
Amity is, what are the...
Amity.
They're the
peace
people. They're like I just imagine them as like hippie farmers. I know. like the Hare Krishnas.
Yeah, which is kind of how they are described in the book.
And then you have, so there's 5 factions. And then you have Tris, who's Beatrice.
Right.
And she's Abnegation to start.
And her group is they're selfless.
Very selfless people.
Yeah. Like they don't look at mirrors because it's vanity.
Only when they cut their hair once a year or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And then the Erudite are the smart people.
Yes.
They're the bookworms. The very intelligent.
Yes.
And then you've got Candor, who's honest to a fault.
Yes.
Like rude almost, but they just believe in honesty. Why skirt around?
Yeah, they speak
bullshit.
their mind. It's like, someone that's probably on the autism spectrum who just says exactly what they're thinking.
Yes,
no
my friend,
matter what.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's a definite, you're like reading, you're like, oh, that's kind of rude. And then you're like, it is also very refreshing.
Yeah.
If you have someone in your life who's like that, and I do, my friend who's on the spectrum, and he says all the time, he's like, sorry, bro, I got a touch of the tism.
Yeah.
You don't want me to BS you right now. And those people are so important to have in your life because they
keep you straight.
They keep you straight on the straight and narrow, and they tell you when other people are too polite to do so. So I feel like they broke down what society is into these 5 factions, but when you get 16, you have to do something where you're tested, and you go into these testing rooms.
Simulation.
It's a simulation, and they put you through these different situations, and what you get when you come out of that tells you where your strengths are.
Right. And where you should basically choose
and where you should choose. But you don't have to, which I kind of like that they still give you that free will, right?
Okay. So, but here's my question for you. Is when I was reading this is something that I kept coming back, because in the book you get a very different vision of all of this world, whereas in the movie it's much more like given to you. So I know that they say you have a choice, right? But I think most of the kids who are put through this end up going with wherever their families are, right? Like that's kind of the common thing, and especially when it is some of the more like the abnegation and candor
amity and candor. Yeah,
they tend to stay where they are, and true to also like Dauntless. Like they also, if you're in Dauntless, you're staying in Dauntless, kind of thing. But I almost feel like, is it really a choice, or do they play so many mind games that you think you're choosing, but they're actually putting it into your head?
You need to read the other books.
Yes.
So they, I'm not going to give it away for you. I'm not going to give it away.
I bet they, okay.
But there's sense. It's almost like, because you get it in this book where they're like, if you defect, right, it's really frowned upon in your family. Like, what's wrong with your parents and your family that you want to leave them?
Right.
And
they it's kind of got like an Amish feel to it where like
100%.
once you leave, you're like shunned.
You're out.
You're
done.
one can talk to you.
And then there's this really beautiful, you kind of get it in the movie, but you definitely get it in the book. So much more is you have this moment, right, where Triss is, first she picks Dauntless, right?
Yeah.
Her brother picks Erudite.
Yeah.
He leaves the family, and everyone's like, holy shit. Like,
yeah, because he was like born to be.
He was born to be abnegation.
Yeah.
The beginning, Triss talks about how he's perfect. He's so selfless. Like
he's so helpful.
He thinks that way, and she doesn't think that way, and she feels guilty for it. Mm-hmm. Then she finds out she's divergent after her simulation, which you find out is like a death sentence.
Right.
Then you have this.
Which, for anyone that doesn't know, it just means you are all of those groups.
You're every of the things.
You're not one. You're
and
all.
None of the simulations don't work on you.
Yeah.
You can control them, and you have.
You know you're in a simulation.
While you're in the simulation. Yeah. But there's this moment where she chooses Dauntless, right? And then immediately you go right to your new faction. You don't get a goodbye to your family, really. You're just kind of gone. And the idea is if you've left your family, they don't want to talk to you.
Right.
Like, she just assumes now her parents hate her.
Yeah.
And there is a moment where Caleb says, no matter what, just choose.
Choose you.
Yeah, like, choose what you want.
Yeah.
And so she looks back on it and she's able to say, like, okay, he had a plan to leave. But when she jumps onto that train, they don't help her. It's like this whole thing Dauntless do to get to the Dauntless headquarters.
Yeah.
You have to jump on a moving train. It does not stop. It's the only way to get there.
Nope.
And then you're on top of the roof of a building, and they're just like, okay, jump down into this giant gaping hole. You cannot see the bottom.
Yeah.
And nobody's jumping.
Yeah.
And she's just like, okay, I'll do
go
it.
First. Yeah.
I'll do it. And I was like, oh, she's badass. Yeah, she's
Exactly.
badass. That was like the Hunger Games moment, you know? It's like, oh, she's a badass.
But okay, but like all of this stuff that we're talking about, there's so much in the book that's not in the movie.
I know.
And like that whole part of the movie is such a fast time, whereas in the book,
it's the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just like boom, 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 we're done.
And it's done. And in the book you get so much more. And I think that was the first, like, you know, within the first 2 chapters I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I did feel like with the movie, they probably didn't know if they were going to get a shot to do the second one.
Yeah, fair.
Because there's a lot with her mom that doesn't happen in the book.
Yes.
There's, it's just like a very different.
Yeah.
It was almost like we might not get to make the next 2 movies, so let's just wrap this up. This could be a one-off that people enjoy.
Well, and I think that they took a path, because I read somewhere one time that when you're taking a book that has so much detail and so much character development, it's really hard to take all those elements and put them into the characters in a movie. And you need to have, in a movie specifically, you need to have like your hero, you need your villain, and you need your, you know, maybe it's like your side people, whatever the side.
You're like merry men. You're henchmen. Yeah.
And then like obviously you need like the drive. Like what is driving these people, but not just the main characters, also the villain of the story, right? Like what is driving that character?
Sure.
And so I think the movie did a really good job to give you a defined anti-hero.
Fuck Eric and Jeanine. They're the worst.
Yeah, but I think like in Janine's mind, she's doing what she thinks is what needs to happen.
God, I wish you read the other books.
I know. And I also think it's really interesting how they wrapped up her story in the movie compared to the book, because it's so different.
Very different.
And again, I was like, oh, there must be way more in the next book. But I really enjoyed several elements of the deepened storyline in the book. So like one of the biggest things that I felt like I didn't understand, and when I read it in the book, I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this is what had happened in the movie. I just didn't realize it was this deep, is when Al commits suicide. And it is so glossed over in the movie. It's like a moment, but it's not like it is in the book, where
not at all.
Like Triss really is like
She's destroyed.
She's destroyed, and like so many other characters are also destroyed.
Yep.
And it really shows like how they like. It's when it starts to be like something is not. This is not how it should be.
Yeah.
And you obviously you hate what's his face,
Eric.
Yeah.
Poophead.
And he's really bad in the movie. He's bad in the book, but he's like. What's the word? He's like kind of a little bit less in your face evil in the book, whereas in the movie he's horrific. From the moment you meet him, you're like, awful. He's bad.
Yeah.
We don't like him. And then Theo comes on, you're like,
beautiful, delicious man. That's a perfect example. We should talk about the casting.
Yes.
The casting in this is like chef's kiss.
The casting. And it's one of those things where when you read the book, like obviously you envision like who these characters. I think because I saw the movie, obviously that's who I was envisioning.
Sure.
But I'm going to be honest, like they did a really good job. But like
Jeanine,
all of the casting.
Are you kidding me?
The parents were really well cast.
I loved it. Caleb, I thought was like such a side character, her brother, but he's so well cast.
Well, what's his name?
I know.
Which is crazy.
And Shailene Woodley is like... This was like her real breakout role.
Yeah.
And she...
Yeah, after, was it teenage daughter,
something.
Pregnant teenage
something,
daughter.
Pregnant,
whatever.
something. She is like... She can play monotone and badass because she's from abnegation. She should not be over the top. She's not like Christina. She's not in your face. I'm going to, be loud and, she's from abnegation. That's still inside of her. Yeah. So she's quiet. And Shailene Woodley can do that perfectly. And Theo James, I'm sorry.
I mean,
he can just stand. I don't care if he was cast as the fucking
He didn't need to
tree.
He didn't need to say anything.
He didn't
just be there.
But Ashley Judd kicks ass as Natalie Pryor because you do find out at the end of this book and movie, she was Divergent. She grew up Divergent. That's why she knows how to shoot a gun. That's why she knows how to do all these things. It's
never said in the movie, though, which I find really interesting. So the word "I am Divergent" never comes up.
Well, Shailene Woodley says to her, "Oh my God,
right.
You were Divergent."
But the mom in the book tells her,
"I was Divergent."
And and I was like waiting for that, and then I was like, "Oh wait, that doesn't ever happen." But I knew it. I knew that was the case. I just didn't, that was
Well, there's just some qualms I have with the movie. Like, it could have been way better if there was a better soundtrack. Every romantic scene is the corniest, most ridiculous music, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, but can we also just talk about the fact that movie only romance, it makes no sense. Their love connection.
They're saying "I love you" after 3 scenes.
In like a moment. It's like, oh.
I mean, like, I don't blame her for falling in love with him.
She's like, "Can I see, do you have tattoos?" He's like, "Yeah, you want to see it?" She's
like,
"Yes." And he takes off his shirt, and then she's just like, "I love you." And he's, "I love you." Well, it doesn't happen that quickly.
Also,
but like,
he's in the book, he's 18 and she's 16.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. In the movie, he's 24 and she's 16?
Yeah. Make it make sense.
Why make it creepy?
But again, their connection is a little bit weird in the movie because you don't understand
any of it. Because
you get his whole backstory in the book. Like he tells her so much about his life and struggles and all this stuff.
When he takes her into his fear landscape and she sees that his dad is Marcus, the head of abnegation who was beating him.
And you get a little bit of that in the movie, but nowhere near what you get in the book.
Agreed.
And I think even the... I felt that way about a lot of the relationships in there. You didn't really quite
it was
understand
very glossed
the
over.
Drive of the characters. And in the movie, I didn't love how they kind of made the dad feel less okay with what she was doing. Whereas in the book, he's very much like, "You're my kid and nothing will ever change that."
Yep.
But there's a little bit of a weirdness to that whole situation in the movie where I was like, I can't tell if he's is he mad at her? Is he?
It's very weird. And the other thing too is in the book you get Will and Christina fall in love.
And it's so sweet.
It's so sweet and so cute. And then you don't get any of that.
No.
And then when she has to kill Will, it's so much more poignant in the book because he's under the simulation.
Yeah.
And he's about to kill her.
Yeah.
And she is screaming at him to wake up, and he doesn't, and he's about to pull the trigger, and she has to kill him. And it shatters her because...
Yeah, she's devastated. In the movie, it's just totally like, bam, done.
Will, don't do it.
It like slow-mo on his face, you know, like that slow-mo.
And she's like, Will.
Done.
Done, dead.
And you're like, okay, moving on.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to knock the movie because I love the movie.
Yeah.
Separate from the book, it's a great movie.
Yes.
Great story.
Yes.
They did great.
So the part where her mom dies in the book, she's not with her mom when her mom dies. She leaves. Her mom gets shot,
sacrifices
right?
herself,
but in the
to save her.
movie,
Yeah.
she's there when she passes, which is beautiful and heart-wrenching, and that's when you realize that she was divergent. But in the book, you don't have that moment. You just she gets shot, she runs out and she gets shot. And I appreciated the way they did it in the movie because I felt like it gives Triss's character a little bit of closure, because literally then her father also dies. You know, like everyone basically dies.
But they both sacrifice themselves for their children, which is very abnegation of them.
Oh, touche. I didn't
it's like, for their children and for the greater good, they will sacrifice themselves. Like, it's not even a question. But I also think it's very parental, right?
Yes.
Like, you would do the same.
Yeah.
I also, in the book, you don't even have that visiting day. I'm sorry, in the movie, you don't have the visiting day.
Yeah.
Where her mom shows up to visiting day and, like, gives her... Like, her mom knows that she's divergent. If she's there, her mom knows that she's divergent.
Yeah.
And gives her this, like, a little bit of advice about being dauntless. And she's like, how do you know so much about this?
Yeah. And then she realizes.
And then she's like, oh.
I was dauntless.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and she clearly picked abnegation so that because she's also divergent. So she had to, like, not be under, she had to be off the radar, which I found really interesting. But also, I don't know how we didn't talk about this yet. So a huge thing in the book that I was like, stop, this is not happening. So in the movie, you don't really, maybe they do talk about it, but I don't remember it because I would remember this. Tobias.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Tobias, and he tells Triss to call him Tobias.
Yes.
Not for. And I was Tobias? Like any name?
Tobias Eaton.
That's the one we're going to go with? Okay. And for obviously being from the 4 fears that he has, right? Like that's where he got his name.
4's hot.
But
Tobias is lame as hell.
But when he goes, don't call me call me by my real name. And she's like, well, what's your real name? And he's Tobias. I was just like...
I'd be like, that's not hot. I'm calling you 4.
I'm going to call you 4. Is that
yeah,
okay?
that's
Cool.
not hot.
Cool. You know, like how we get to pick our names because we don't want
Yeah, I'm choosing to call you 4. Also, in the book, they can see all of your fears in the fear landscape.
Yeah.
And in the movie, they don't really show that.
Yes.
Like, you kind of can't... Like, there's a moment where, in the book, the whole class is seeing everybody's fears.
Yes.
And in her, like, final test or whatever... And they do it in book and movie. One of her fears is having sex.
Yeah.
And she's like, you didn't see that, did you? And then
Yeah.
she realizes that's another fear landscape she has to go through and shoot one of her family members.
But also, like, he kind of doesn't stop when she's telling him to stop.
He's a little
and
rapey.
Yeah, he's a little rapey.
Low rapey.
And they don't, obviously they're not showing that in the movie, but that happens in the book. They're explaining it.
Also, Uriah, not in the movie at all. And
No.
he's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, they kind of did him dirty. They were just like, we don't really.
He's in the later ones, but still.
Oh, okay. See, I have never seen the other movies either. If not,
You're not
the
missing
other
anything.
books, I've never.
We'll
seen
talk about it when we
Okay,
get there. But.
Okay. Oh, also another big moment that I was like, oh my God, this does not happen in the movie. Edward and the eyeball.
The eyeball.
Why? That's an important factor.
That's real big.
That's a big deal in the book.
Yeah.
Nope, we're just gonna cut that out. Okay.
Maybe the popping out of the, who knows?
But like, I don't know. I think like it's just, again, I would assume it's because you only have so much time to fit
Yeah,
in a
and
movie,
like
right?
I knew this was going to be a quick episode because it's a very quick read. It's a very short movie.
Yeah.
It's a quickie.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? It is such a fun read.
Yeah, I really recommend people to read this.
Yeah, like it's one of those books that I like, and age-wise, like I don't think, like kids could read this book. There's nothing in it that I would say would be like
just the violence. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
but
it.
it's like Hunger Games,
Yeah,
except
just like Hunger Games.
It's obviously it's different, but it's
level
the
of
vibe.
violence-wise. Yeah,
The vibe is very the same.
Also, can we just talk about like Peter is a piece of shit in the book. Like he's psychotic.
Yeah.
In the movie, he's kind of just like an ass.
Yeah.
Just mean, picks on
Meh.
her. No, he's a murderer.
Yeah. But again, like maybe that's because they just didn't
Time
have
constraint.
the time to like really explain out.
Yeah.
And they made Jeanine so wildly different in the sense that like
Yeah.
she's like a straight up evil villain in the movie, but like you're kind of like, do I
In the
like
book, she's
her?
kind of smart.
She is. Not that she's not smart in the movie, but like
No, but she's like, oh, maybe she's doing something much bigger here.
yes. And in the book, that's the vibe you get the whole time. And
Yeah.
you don't get the ending you get in the movie in the book. So you obviously, there is no scene where they like, inject her with the serum and then
Yeah.
she, cancels
Also, how
the
fucking
whole...
creepy is that? When you imagine
Yeah.
waking up and everybody's a robot and you just have to fall in line, that's terrifying.
Yeah. Also, here's another question for you. So this is the one thing too that I was like, I don't know, like what was going on. So in the movie, obviously 4 is injected with the new serum that like affects Divergent.
Oh, and then he almost kills her.
Right? He almost kills her.
And she
right.
wakes him up.
But in the book, the way it happens is so different because in my mind, she breaks through. Like she gets
Yes.
through to him when she turns the gun on herself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But in the movie, there's like a moment where I was like, oh, it's the same. But then it's like, but she's still saying, it's me, it's me, it's me. And I was like, wait, but then that doesn't, like, it clicks.
Because I think you lose the internal dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know there's points where like he's pretending to be under in certain situations,
Yes.
like when they're
100%.
first,
Yeah.
like, they figure out that like everyone's been, put under this, not spell, under the serum, and they
Yeah.
have to like, just do it so they don't get killed, because if you're Divergent, they're literally hunting you down and
I'm
killing
going
you.
to kill you. Yeah.
And so I'm like, is it because that's supposed to show like him still
think
trying
you're right.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
book?
yeah.
I mean, in the movie, but in the
Yes.
book, obviously you're getting the inner dialogue, so you're hearing what she's saying to him, but you're also like, obviously the whole thing is being explained, and so I wish that it had been more like
Me too.
the book.
Yeah, agreed.
But like obviously it's such a huge moment, right? Because like she's able to break the hold of the serum over him. But
Which pisses Jeanine off to no end, which
totally.
I love.
And then she like goes all crazy and she
Yeah.
wants to kill everyone, and then obviously they inject her and she's dead. And then does she die in the end of that? Or we're not supposed to know in
We're not supposed to know.
in the book.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean
not
in the
supposed to know.
movie.
We're not supposed to know.
Okay, because in the book you don't know either.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then like in the book they all get on a train and then they go
Ta-da!
sit. That's the end.
Oh, I'm just going to say, read the book.
100% read the book.
I know this is a shorter episode, but it is a shorter read. Like, it's a very fast read. Her writing, Veronica Roth's writing, is very quick. Like,
Yeah.
you're flying through sentences.
Well, and here's I have a fun fact.
Okay, I'm ready.
So as we're wrapping this up, exactly what you said about the movie being like they tried to kind of make it its own little like bundle. Apparently Veronica, when she wrote the first book, never intended for it to be a trilogy. It was supposed to be a one-off book.
That's incredible.
And so I think what's interesting about that is like obviously were all the books written when the first movie came out?
I don't think so. I think it was pretty fast. I have it on my notes. Hold on, let me pull it for you while you're
my
doing
thought
that.
process, and then I was like, wait, but were the other books already out? Because if that's the case, then my thought process is totally off. But I wondered if that's maybe why it feels like it's kind of a one-off, because it wasn't necessarily going to have another.
And I kind of love that, though.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to just say this.
Yes.
I could probably talk more about like the casting and everything because it was so good, but rereading it having because I did read it, and then the movies came out,
Yeah.
and then went back to it quite a few times.
Yeah.
But again, you get this gap when you're an adult and like reading it way later.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of these people have gone on to have much more illustrious careers and stuff. But going back to it, and this is just in my notes, I just wanted to point it out. I don't think I would change a single casting.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Rereading it, it's all spot on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and me reading it for the first time and then watching it again.
Does it make you like the movie more or a little bit less? Because it made me like the movie a little bit less.
So that's really hard because it 100% made me like the movie less.
Okay, me too.
But I still 100% love the casting.
Guilty pleasure. Yeah,
the
yeah.
casting,
agreed.
Incredible. I think they did a great job, but I think the book is so much better.
It's so much better.
That it's hard to be like, no, I mean, the book's,
Especially with all of her friendships and Al and like Uriah and the Dauntless born versus the, people that, and we didn't even talk about this. If you don't get through the Dauntless training, you're factionless.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always like that in Dauntless. No. That's something new that Jeanine introduced, which is hilarious because she's not even there. It's like the new Dauntless leaders.
Yeah.
Just bananas.
It's crazy.
And the whole abnegation is stealing from us, so we must eradicate them when that's a complete lie. Like, I'm trying not to spoil it for people, but, Bam, bam, bam. Too much like the world today.
Yeah, but, that's all I have to say.
That was it? Okay. Wow. From the mouth of Dayelle.
No, I was going to say, this is so random, though I don't know how this fits in, but I thought this was really interesting. So apparently the fear landscapes.
Yes.
You probably already know this.
I don't.
Were inspired by psychology. And so Veronica was fascinated by exposure therapy.
Ooh, this makes sense. That's exactly what the fear landscapes are.
So she used the concept to build the Dauntless simulation training.
That's That's a great fun fact.
That is so cool and weird and kind of like, whoa.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's like a whole other level. Because it is extremely psychological.
100%.
Like, way more than like the Hunger Game kind of stuff.
Well, this is a bother for me, though.
Yeah.
And that just made it like even more of a bother. But definitely read.
I'm going to throw a little
I'm
wrench
nervous.
in the...
Okay.
I'm going to say this is a read for me.
Damn! Okay, this is great. I love this.
I loved the book so much that
makes me happy.
I could never have seen the movie and only have read this book and would have been totally...
That makes me very happy. I'm glad that you loved it so much because I do.
I really did. It was weird.
Yay.
I wasn't expecting it, but I liked it.
Okay, great.
All right,
I
guys.
love it.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.